Bill Burr.
Sadly, I saw these clips of ICE going in and just ripping these people out of their homes, and mothers and grandmothers and children screaming, no warrant. If fellow U.S. citizens are like, what are you doing? They like intimidate them, arrest them. And this is like Gestapo type of stuff. And it just blows my mind that there's a certain ugly segment of the American population that's enjoying watching these families getting ripped out of their homes. And you somehow think that America is going to be better if this is done. Like, so what? So they took those people out. They're taking these brown people out that are living week to week. And somehow you feel like if they get them out of the country, your boss who's not paying you a living wage will suddenly start paying you a living wage.
He has seen what has transpired.
So turn around.
Okay, let's not. Okay, he's not resisting. He's giving me his phone, okay? He's not, I understand, he's not resisting. Like, yeah, they just like handcuffed him and took him. I don't know what to do.
ICE abducted Mahmoud Khalil.
It's also important to stay aware of what is happening out in our country where we are seeing the Trump administration almost every week snatch people right off the streets for political speech. The latest, most chilling example happened yesterday outside Boston when a PhD student and Fulbright scholar at Tufts University in this country on a student visa from Turkey, totally legal, obviously, was taken off a residential street in Somerville, Massachusetts. Rumeysa Ozturk had just left her apartment when she's approached by a guy in a dark hoodie and hat who then grabs her hands. You can see and hear how upset and scared she is as an officer finally pulls out a badge and appears to identify himself as law enforcement. She is quickly surrounded by half a dozen, I guess, cops, all in street clothes, covering their faces with masks. They take her cell phone. They physically remove her backpack. She is then handcuffed as a bystander films and asks how anyone is supposed to know these people are police.
They abducted Rumeysa Ozturk. A judge ordered the Trump admin to keep her in the state. They did not. And after 6 weeks, she finally returned to Massachusetts. They abducted Hilmar Abrego Garcia. A federal judge ordered him to be returned. The Trump administration has not done so. 3 United States citizens, including one with stage 4 cancer, were deported and abducted from their homes. This is going to keep happening over and over and over again because this is what this administration is built on.
What would be a great thing is everybody read up on the history of these that have run these companies. They have not wanted to pay Americans a living wage ever. They've never wanted to pay us a living wage. And the only reason why they do is because there's laws. And the only reason why there is laws is because people died during protests to start unions. And these psychos that run these companies didn't want to pay a living wage, and eventually they took their factories out of the country so they could go back to not paying a living wage in the form of sweatshop labor. And now they're eventually working their way towards this.
Speaking of the ultra-wealthy, take a gander at who is joining Donald Trump on his trip to the Middle East. These are the oligarchs, everyone. They run the country. They hoard resources and stole the wealth from the American public. What do they get in return? BlackRock, Citigroup, Boeing, Amazon, OpenAI, Tesla, SpaceX, Palantir, Halliburton, Uber, Coca-Cola, and more will probably potentially get rewarded with a Kushner-like deal on their trip. Burr brings it together on the topics of class warfare and the link to the top 1%.
The same billionaires that didn't want to pay in the 1800s, way back to the feudal system, they've never wanted to pay you. They don't want to pay you, and they just keep blaming people that don't look like you, that don't have any money or any sort of control over your life, and my people keep believing it. It's unbelievable. Immigrants are not the reason why you can't make your rent. You can't make your rent because the guy that employs you is not paying you enough money. He's not keeping up, or she's not keeping up with the rate of inflation. The sad thing is there's enough money, there's enough food, there's enough shelter for everybody. but these super rich want too much for themselves.
Amen to that. But to understand just how dire of a situation we are currently in, published in February of 2025 via Rand Corporation's Carter C. Price, a study was brought to the forefront by independent Senator Bernie Sanders, showcasing the following finding. Nearly $80 trillion in wealth in the United States has been redistributed from the bottom 90% of Americans to the top 1% over the past 50 years. That number represents the cumulative cost of lost wages to workers below the 90th percentile due to rising inequality from 1975 through 2023. Average real income in the top 1% grew by 321.6% from 1975 through 2018. That is nearly 3 times the 118% growth of real per capita GDP over the exact same period. Writes Alexandra Jacobo from Nation of Change. Had earnings growth remained more equitably distributed as it was in the mid-20th century, the majority of workers would have collectively earned nearly $4 trillion more in 2023 alone. But as Burr outlines, this was all put on the back burner by the ultra-wealthy using decades-old tactics.
And they're heartless. They don't give a And when you start to tell them, hey, you're not paying us enough money, they go, oh, look at those brown people over there. If we could just get them to stop jumping over a wall or get them out of their houses. If we could tear apart their families without a warrant, then I would somehow magically start paying you enough money where you could live comfortably and have health insurance. Unreal. And I got to tell you, these people that are just watching this stuff, and you don't think that eventually, if you just co-sign on an agency being able to do that, just barge into somebody's house like that, just start lining people up, asking questions, no warrants, just total intimidation, right? If you're signing off on that, you have to understand, do you really think that that's just going to stop there? Let's say they got all the illegal immigrants out of this country. That work still has to be done. So now who's doing that work? And what is the rich guy doing? Do you think he's going to pay American citizen wages? Is he going to let one nickel roll out of his pocket? Has that been your experience watching these super rich people? Just out of curiosity.
So, with that being said, until there is class consciousness, until there is class unity, until we realize that the fight is not amongst the working class, it is not by any stretch of the imagination amongst ourselves, and it is those above us. It is those that is hoarding the wealth. It is those that are profiting and stealing wages from us. We will continue having this inequality, and unfortunately, a lot of people keep signing up for it. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYTsports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.